Welcome back to Pokemon episode summaries. Today, I'll be doing episode 46, The Ultimate Test. The episode begins with Ash and the gang, along with Todd, who had now joined the gang, eating some lunch while having a picnic in the middle of the forest, with even Pikachu and Togepi eating some food that Brock had made for them. Misty then comments on how it's been since episode fucking 34 since Ash has had a gym battle, stating that it was about time he did one again, and teasing him that next time he had a gym battle, he should actually try and win a badge legitimately for once. Misty, do you have fucking dementia? Like, yeah, a lot of Ash's gym badges were not rightfully earned, but the most recent ones, he has won fair and square. Ash gets pissed off at Misty's comment and decides to challenge her to a battle to prove that he deserved his gym badges, and in the process also proving that he deserved hers for real as well, as her sisters had given him his gym badge only for defeating Team Rocket, and he wanted to prove that he was strong enough to have it regardless. After hearing that Ash didn't win all his badges legitimately though, Todd then decides to suggest to Ash, thinking he was pretty weak in that case, that he should get his pass to the Pokemon League another way, being through the Pokemon League admissions exam, which, yes, that thing does exist. Ash agrees to go, but not before Todd tries once again to take Pikachu's picture, much to Ash's annoyance. Even though they had become friends, you could see that they were still bickering a little bit. Ash and the gang, along with Todd, then make their way to the admissions center, which is a huge-ass building. When they walk inside, they are immediately talked to by the main instructor, who proceeds to go into detail on what the purpose of the admissions exam place was for. Despite initially seeming like it was a place just for fucking wimps who didn't want to have to battle, it's actually revealed that the main intention of the place was it was for people who didn't have time to go around collecting any badges, and instead they were evaluated on their knowledge of Pokemon, as well as battles against the other students. So there was at least battle experience of some kind involved. The instructor then further clarified that if you were able to successfully pass all of the written tests and the battles, then you would be given a singular badge, and this badge would give you instant access to the Pokemon League. So basically, this badge was so powerful, it was as powerful as the 8 badges that you would win regularly. Damn, a person should almost just try and steal these instead of trying to steal Pokemon. Ash and the gang stare at the badge in awe as he shows it to them, and then the instructor admits Ash into the program, giving him his testing number, being number 7. Ash is instantly pumped up by this, as he claims that 7 was his lucky number, so he was prepared to pass the test. Meanwhile, Jessie, in a schoolgirl disguise, spots Ash, though unintentionally for once. She wasn't there to spy on him, but she was mad at him for getting lucky number 7, as she stated that number 7 was her lucky number as well. Ash actually notices someone looking at him for once, as he looks back at Jessie, and this causes Jessie to panic and act like she wasn't just staring, leading Ash to become suspicious, as he stated that the girl looked familiar, but couldn't place his finger on it. Come on, Ash, you were so close. It's not like the disguises are that good. Brock then spots a Nurse Joy in line, waiting to get her testing number assigned to her, and being the simp that he is, immediately goes up to her. Misty and Ash go to follow him, but then Ash is stopped by the instructor, who orders him to give him all of his Pokemon, stating that he wasn't permitted to use any of them during any of the tests, because the tests were going to supply Ash with their own Pokemon, and Ash would have to use them to prove that, as a trainer, he could handle any Pokemon, even ones that weren't his own. Ash obliged, giving his Pokemon to the instructor, and leaving Pikachu with Misty, stating that he couldn't give it to the instructor because Pikachu obviously wouldn't go in his Pokeball. With his Pokemon dropped off, Ash and Misty then go meet Brock in front of Nurse Joy, who then reveals her reasoning for taking the test in the first place, which was that she wanted to be a Pokemon master. That's right, not all Nurse Joys want to do the exact same thing. Awesome! Nurse Joy then further states how she thought that the test was a very useful thing because it helped people like her who were too busy to go around getting badges, as she still had to attend to her Nurse Joy duties despite her dream of being a Pokemon master. Brock is blushing extremely during all this, extremely infatuated with this Nurse Joy due to how independent she seemed, and wished her very good luck on all the exams. As Ash talked to Todd about how confident he was that he could pass the test, as if on cue, James walked in. He was also in a schoolboy disguise and had spotted Ash, taking the opportunity to spy on him a little bit, but Ash then noticed him, causing James to run away hurriedly, not wanting to get spotted. Ash, being the dumbass that he was still unable to put his finger on the fact that James looked familiar and couldn't clarify who he was. This allows James to successfully run over to the registration counter and begin to get registered by the instructor, who calls out his name as James. This causes James to panic, as he was obviously trying to lay low, not wanting his identity to be revealed to anyone, but this reveals his identity to the girl who was standing beside him, who was none other than Jessie. James was unaware that Jessie was also entering the test. So, when Jessie calls out that she recognizes James, James simply calls her an old bat, in fear that she was just a random person that had recognized him, and he wanted to scare her away. But this leads Jessie to get extremely pissed off that James just insulted her. She gets so pissed off at the old bat comment that she then drags James outside, literally fucking drags, and reveals herself to him, which causes James to panic as he realizes his mistake. Jessie and James then question each other on why they were both at the test, because they both went there in secret, not telling each other. James clarifies that the reason why he wants to pass the test is because he wanted to become a Pokemon master, just like Ash did. Jessie clarifies that the reason why she wanted to was because she wanted to add yet another skill to her resume, being a Pokemon League champion. While stating this, she in the process reveals multiple other things that she was already a master of, such as a stylist, a beautician, a florist, hostess, costume designer, wine expert, and style consultant. Damn, she truly had a resume. Just then, Meowth shows up and gets pissed the fuck off at Jesse and James for leaving him behind and not telling them where he was going. And this leads Jesse and James to try and come up with a good reason as to why they left him behind, stating that they wanted to go on a getaway picnic just to do some planning on their own. But this just pisses off Meowth even more, and he proceeds to scratch the shit out of their faces. James is able to deter Meowth away by throwing a ball of yarn, which the Meowth is obviously attracted to, being a cat Pokemon, and Meowth becomes distracted by playing with the yarn, so Jesse and James are able to successfully go into the school as the test begins. Ash, Jesse, and James all sit down, and the instructor reveals that the first test was just a simple general Pokemon knowledge test, and you had to answer true or false questions. Ash manages to pass successfully, answering several questions correctly, such as one on if Lickitung's tongue was twice the length of its body, and one on if Vulpix evolved into Ninetales utilizing a Firestone, which he definitely should have been well aware of after the whole Eevee Brothers episode. He then also successfully answers a question on if Hitmonlee was the punching Pokemon, remembering that Hitmonlee was the kicking Pokemon, and Hitmonchan was the punching Pokemon. James, on the other hand, was getting all of his questions wrong, much to his annoyance, and he only proceeded to get more questions wrong when one of the questions was about a Magikarp's only attack being Splash. This caused him to have some PTSD of when he had a Magikarp that evolved into Gyarados back on the St. Anne during episode 15, and this causes him to get distracted, and he just continues to fail miserably. He then gets even more flustered as he looks over and sees Jessie confidently answering every single question that she got, which pisses him off that she was doing better than him. It's then revealed, though, still unbeknownst to James, that Jessie didn't know any of the answers either, and she was merely just selecting true on each one of them, with the assumption that she'd get at least half of them right if she did so. So just your standard test strategy. Some of the questions that she got involved if coughing was first discovered in a public bathhouse, and if Caterpie was the smallest Pokemon in existence. The second test then begins, which is a Pokemon silhouette quiz. Yes, this was the episode that began the trend on YouTube of people guessing all those silhouettes. The first silhouette merely looks like a ball, so this leads Ash to assume that it was a Voltorb, as Voltorb resembled a ball. Jessie, however, thinks that it's an Electrode, as Electrode looked very similar to Voltorb, also resembling a ball. James, on the other hand, has the worst guess, which is just merely that it's a Pokeball. I don't even know if that was an option, is it? Because I thought it had to be a Pokemon, right? Well, to be fair, the answer was even more bullshit than it being a Pokeball, as the answer is revealed to be a Jigglypuff that had curled itself into a ball. Ash, Jesse, and James all state how much of a fucking bullshit that was, as the second question arrives, which is to guess a Pokemon not based on its silhouette, but based on the swirl that it had, implying that this swirl was on a Pokemon. Jessie proceeds to guess a coiled-up Arbok, which you think she should know because she has an Arbok. James guesses that it's an Omanyte, and Ash guesses that it's a Poliwhirl. Ash is the closest one, as it's revealed that it is not in fact a Poliwhirl, but a Poliwag, whose fucking swirls were very, very, very similar. Ash gets pissed off how close he was, with even Brock and Misty remarking, okay, this test is fucking bullshit, man. Maybe it is harder than getting gym badges after all. Then, the next question arrives with this silhouette having a fiery tail. This causes Ash to guess Charmander, but it's revealed that it's a Ponyta instead. Jessie also got this answer wrong, obviously, as she begins fucking slamming the keyboard down, cursing, fucking almost breaking her computer in anger, to the point where the instructor is like, yo, if you're gonna do this, get the fuck out, and he disqualifies her, and kicks her out, leading Jessie to leave the building in anger, stating that the questions should have been easier. Oh yeah, Jessie, yeah, we're gonna make them easier just for you, yeah, right, fucking bitch. Ash and Nurse Joy watch this, and they say something to that extent, like, this fucking spoiled bitch. Anyways, when Jessie walks outside, she immediately returns to Meowth and gets him out of his trance from the yarn, proclaiming that she needed his help to get revenge on the instructor for kicking her out. Back inside the building, the current scores after the first two tests were revealed, with it being revealed that Nurse Joy had scored near the top, which makes sense due to her being a nurse and all. Ash and the gang, especially Brock, congratulate her on this, being extremely happy for her. Todd and Ash both spot Ash's score, though, as it's revealed that him and James had scored the lowest out of anybody else. Damn, we thought Ash had some protagonist power, but I guess not. Todd begins taking a picture of Ash's score, as he wants to document both the highs and lows of the exam, but Ash then yells at him, accusing him of basically taking a bias against him. Ash is furious at his score, and I'm sure he'd only be more furious if he knew that he was tied with James almost, but he manages to cheer himself up, as he remembers that the exams were only the first part of the overall test, with the second part being about battling, which he assumed he would kick ass in, and redeem himself, as he stated that battles were more important than general knowledge anyway. As for James, he was also pissed the fuck off by the fact that he got a low score, and vowed to try his best in the battles so that he could at least win for both his and Jessie's sake, who had been kicked out. The third test then begins, which is in fact the battle rounds, as Ash had suggested. The thing with these battle rounds is that you couldn't use your own Pokemon, just like the instructor had previously stated, and you had to use random Pokemon that were given to you on a belt. As for Nurse Joy, she was doing well in her battles, having to use a Squirtle, but she was luckily matched up with a Charmander, so it was an easy match. Brock cheered her on as she won, in utter amazement, leading Todd to get annoyed at Brock simping. Oh bro, you had no idea what you're in for if you stayed with this group. Meanwhile, Ash and James were both still in line, waiting to get their belts of Pokemon, with the instructor confirming that all of their opponents would be other instructors. They wouldn't be facing each other. He then also reveals to James that he would be the one facing James in a battle, as James grabs his belt and prepares for the said battle, as Meowth and Jessie watch, cheering him on. James sends out his first Pokemon, which is revealed to be none other than a Pikachu. Now, I'm surprised that this didn't prompt Jessie and James to immediately try and steal it, but it doesn't somehow. As for James's reaction to the Pikachu, he was very happy, as he claimed that he was essentially a Pikachu expert and knew all its moves due to being absolutely murdered by Ashes so many times. Jessie and Meowth aren't as confident in James, though, as they spot the instructor send out a Graveler. Yeah, Pikachu is going to be able to do a lot on Graveler, huh? James is unaware of this and has Pikachu use Thunderbolt, but the Thunderbolt basically has no effect on Graveler since it was a rock type, allowing the Graveler to tackle the Pikachu and knock it the fuck out. James is so annoyed by this that he attempts to break the rules and give himself an advantage by sending out his next two Pokemon at the same time to do a 2-against-1 battle. These two Pokemon are revealed to be a Charizard and an Ivysaur, but before James can use them, the instructor obviously gets mad at him and disqualifies him for cheating, much to Meowth and Jessie's disappointment. James is sitting by a tree, butthurt by his expulsion from the test, but Meowth and Jessie then comfort him, stating that they had an idea to get revenge, just as Jessie had said before. It was now Ash's turn to battle, and he was up against the same instructor that he had talked to before, and that James faced as well. The instructor decided to use his Flareon, while Ash unveiled his first Pokemon, which was a Weezing, much to his dismay, as he obviously hated Weezings due to its association with Team Rocket. Todd proceeded to take a picture of Ash and Weezing together. Not sure what else to take pictures of, but how about you take pictures of the battle, dude? Not just the trainer and Pokemon sitting there. But anyways, Ash is pissed off by this as he doesn't want to be remembered with the Weezing in a photo. But I'm sure his opinion on Weezing positively changed a little bit, as Weezing is actually able to do pretty well against the Flareon. Flareon starts by using Flamethrower, which Weezing easily moves over and dodges, and then Weezing uses a Smog, which proceeds to explode when it comes into contact with Flareon's Flamethrower due to the Smog being a gas, right? The Flareon is heavily damaged by the attack, and then decides to go in for a leer, but Weezing then uses Smokescreen to create a wall of smoke so that Flareon couldn't see, which in turn renders Flareon's leer useless, leaving the Flareon defenseless as the Weezing goes up to it and finishes it off with a tackle attack. Ash celebrates his win as Brock, Misty, and Todd all cheer him on. Misty even admits that Ash may have even been able to win all of his previous badges fairly after all, due to the skill that he showed, and Brock then comments on how even Team Rocket's Weezing could win if it battled as well as Ash's did. Speaking of Team Rocket, they were taking notes on this battle, likely due to, as Brock suggested, them being able to battle good with James's Weezing if they used the same strategies that Ash did. The instructor then sends out his second Pokemon, being a Jolteon, leading Ash to call back his Weezing and send out his second Pokemon as well, wanting to use a clean slate. But, however, he struggles to remember what attacks Arbok had used before, even despite Jessie constantly using one. This gives the Jolteon time to run up with an agility, but Ash gets the idea to use Glare, which stops the Jolteon in its tracks, paralyzing it, quite literally. However, it should be impossible for Jolteon to get paralyzed with it being an electric type, right? Whatever. Anyways, Arbok then tries to go in for a Wrap attack, but when it does, it hits all of Jolteon's spikes, which causes it to yelp in pain. This distracts the Arbok from doing any other moves, which gives the Jolteon time to shake off the paralysis it got from the glare, and proceed to use Thunder on Arbok, finishing it off and prompting Ash to send in his last Pokemon, even though technically he should still have Weezing available, and his last Pokemon is revealed to be none other than Meowth. That's right, all of his Pokemon were Team Rockets for some reason. Ash comments on this, stating how ironic it was, as the instructor then sends out his last Pokemon, which was a Vaporeon, and Meowth, watching from the stands with Jessie, comments to Ash on how he should use Fury Swipes. He did this not to help Ash, but he did it to help the Meowth, as he wanted Meowth to be represented good in this test. Ash then proceeds to do as Meowth suggested, but the Fury Swipes is massively countered by Vaporeon using Ice Beam and freezing Meowth in a huge block of ice. Having lost 2 of the 3 battles, it meant that Ash had lost the overall battle, much to his disappointment. Ash would only get more disappointed, though, as Meowth comes down to him in anger and proceeds to scratch the shit out of his face like he did to Jessie and James earlier in the episode, as a punishment for letting the other Meowth get hurt and not battling with him properly. Team Rocket's Meowth then walks up to Ash's Meowth and immediately uses his own Fury Swipes to free the Meowth from the ice, and worriedly asks it if it was okay. The instructor hears Meowth talking, and was obviously unaware that any Pokemon was capable of doing this, so he decides that he wants to capture the Meowth, believing it to be a wild one. Jessie and James do not let the instructor capture Meowth, though, as they have the Pikachu, Ivysaur, and Charizard all fire an attack that deflects the Pokeball that the instructor throws. The instructor demands that Team Rocket give back the Pokemon that they were using, reminding them that they weren't theirs, but instead belonged to the test institution, leading Team Rocket to take off their disguises and reveal themselves, while saying their motto and also revealing their plan, which was simply to defeat the instructor and run away with the Charizard, Ivysaur, and Pikachu, knowing they could utilize the very powerful Pokemon. Team Rocket then orders the Charizard to use Flamethrower, Ivysaur to use Vine Whip, and Pikachu to use Thunder on the instructor. Not on any of his Pokemon, no, on the instructor. They wanted to fucking murder the guy. But thankfully, the instructor is able to command the Pokemon to attack Team Rocket instead, which they oblige. Ash realizes that the instructor is able to do this because those Pokemon technically belonged to him or anyone else at the test institution, so they would listen to them before they would listen to Team Rocket. Ash then jumps in to help the instructor, ordering his Meowth, Arbok, and Weezing to attack, ironically leading Team Rocket to be attacked by their own Pokemon, as Arbok attacked Jessie, Weezing attacked James, and Meowth attacked Meowth. Obviously, these weren't their Pokemon, but the same species. It actually ends up being Weezing that does the final blow to Team Rocket, not even one of the instructor's powerful Pokemon, as Weezing uses Explosion, sending Team Rocket blasting off and causing a huge crater to appear on the battlefield. Everyone then returns inside the exam building, where the exam instructor unfortunately reveals that due to Team Rocket messing everything up, everyone had to redo the exam. much to everyone, including Nurse Joy's, dismay. Goddamn Team Rocket, man. Why did they even have to cancel the exam because of them? Was it because Team Rocket was competitors and they didn't want to have an exam be known for having controversial competitors like Team Rocket in it? Anyways, obviously not wanting to restart the test from scratch, when the instructor questions Ash if he was going to sign up again, Ash declines, stating that he preferred having real battles anyway, and remarked how he did best in the actual battles as opposed to the quiz, so he was better off to battle gym leaders instead. Misty commends Ash for sticking to his guns despite her previous negative comments and apologizes for them. Yeah, you better, because Ash has won his previous few badges fair and square, so yeah, it was about time you offered that apology, Misty. But anyways, Ash and the gang then say goodbye to the instructor and Nurse Joy as they leave. Todd decides to keep going with Ash and the gang as well, but before he leaves, he runs up to the instructor, having located a Meowth that got injured in the explosion. The Meowth then talks, stating how much it was in pain, revealing that it was Team Rocket's Meowth, who hadn't successfully blasted off. The instructor grabs the Meowth from Todd, wanting to capture it again due to its talking abilities, and Meowth runs off immediately to go find Jesse and James, and successfully evades capture. Speaking of Jesse and James, they had ended up in the woods and began to talk to Meowth about doing yet another revenge plan on the instructor, as they were still fuming over being kicked out of the exam. However, it's revealed that this Meowth was the one that the instructor actually owned, meaning that the two Meowths had gotten mixed up. It'll probably just be fixed next episode, though, as it always is.